Hey, what's going on, guys? So our lure review this week is going to be on the Ima Roumba, or the Ima Roumba, depending on how you say it. It's a topwater wake bait that's endorsed by Fred Rumbanis. That's how they got the name Roumba or Rumba. I've heard people say it both ways, but it's essentially just a wake bait, shallow running crankbait. You can see we got two here. I've had a chance to go out and fish with it. As a side note, some of you already probably know that I started a Facebook page. Just trying to establish some of the community that we have here on my channel at YouTube and trying to bring them over there as well. So if you guys have a Facebook page, I'd appreciate it if you guys went over there and check that out. I'll try to, post pictures and stuff on there fairly often. So as it relates to fishing and stuff. Probably the last person on planet Earth that doesn't have a Facebook or didn't have a Facebook page. So now the gods of Facebook can sleep tight tonight. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know about that. We're going to do the contest video here probably tonight. So stay tuned for that. And let's get on with this lure review. Alright guys, so the Ima Roumba crankbait has two variations of this crankbait. You have a rattling version, then you have a non-rattling version. The standard or the non-rattling version, that is what I have. And you have one size, and the one size is 3 inches in length. It has a weight of a ½ ounce, and Tackle Warehouse lists it as a diving depth of a wake bait, but in reality it's more like 6 to 8 inches. And then it is obviously a floating lure, being that it is a wake bait / topwater shallow running crankbait. So let me show you guys a measurement here. It's fairly large. I mean, as far as there's a lot of bulk to the bait here, but just the body of it is a little over. Oops, there we go. It's right at 2 3/4 inches on just the body, and then when you add the bill of it, it is about 3 1/8 inches long. So it is relatively large. You look at it up against a Lucky Craft RC 2.5 wake. So this is a fairly large crankbait as well. And you can see that they're pretty comparable in size. But one of the biggest things that you notice about the bait, especially when you hold it up against the Lucky Craft, or even let's hold it up against the Ima Square Bill, that it doesn't really have that shad profile. It has more of a, I guess, like a bug or a beetle or something like that. It doesn't have that traditional shad profile. It looks like a bug. So one of the coolest things about this lure when I was out there throwing it around is that it has an extremely erratic action. When you're rolling it through the water, it has such a huge tail kick. I mean, there's just a really wide arc to the lure when it's going through the water, but it's a dynamic movement, meaning that as it's going this way. You guys can remember the review that I did on the Ima Square Bill, that I thought that it acted a lot like a wake bait, being that it was very erratic, but it dove underwater. Well, this one is more like a traditional wake bait, but it has that same very erratic action and dynamic action, where it has a really wide swinging movement to it, but it also rolls really heavily in the water. So when it goes through, it goes more like this and just whips around all over the place. But there's some little idiosyncrasies to the lure that you need to pay attention to. It's kind of quirky, and if you get it, you can't really burn this bait. If you start cranking it too hard, it starts to come to the surface, which is kind of odd, but it starts to surface on you, and then it starts to just drag itself through the water. So you really can't crank it that hard. On the alternative side, you can't really crank it that. I mean, you could crank it really, really slow, but it's right at home at a medium retrieve, and that medium retrieve gives it just the craziest wobbling, rolling action that I've seen in a topwater wake bait. Now, not Lucky Craft, but Tackle Warehouse said that they list it as a wake bait and it doesn't dive. I found that it actually did dive, that it dove to probably around 6 to 8 inches. So I'm going to call it a 6 to 8 inch diver. But it actually would work really, really good in like shallow, skinny water, like right over beds and stuff. It's very, very effective in that range. In fact, using it as a wake bait in that traditional sense where you're kind of rolling it through the top of the water and it's just kind of plowing through the top of the water, I found that it's really not at home there doing that. You really have to crank it fairly slow, and it loses some of that really erratic dynamic action that it has. Before I forget to add, one of the things that people like in squirrel crankbaits, this is not a squirrel crankbait, but one of the things that people like in squirrel crankbaits is the fact that some squirrel crankbaits out there, they'll do what's called a wandering. So instead of them coming straight back to you like this, they'll do more of a dance from side to side like that. And that's what this crankbait does. I've never seen a wake bait, I call it a wake bait, I've never seen a wake bait do something like that. I mean, it already has that really wide wobbling dynamic action with that roll involved in it, and then on top of that, it's just going from, just kind of wandering from side to side. So really, really cool crankbait here. You notice the bill on it. It doesn't have that traditional style bill. I'll show you another wake bait that I have that I really like to use a lot. Is this get the hook off of there. It's this Excalibur XW6. Now you notice that the bill on this one has just it's more of like a plow bill on it, and then you look at like the Lucky Crab version of it. Again, it's a smaller bill, but it's more like a plow. But those are stone cold wake baits. Now this is a wake bait as well, but it's got more of a I guess a shallower pitch than these other ones, where it actually rakes out kind of like a squirrel crankbait does, where that it kind of jets more forward instead of straight down. So this does have an action where it'll dive down to a few inches. So I find it to be effective as a subsurface lure is what I would call this. This is a subsurface lure, half a foot underwater. It's perfect right in that range. You've got pronounced gill plates on it. There's really not many features on top of the body of the bait here. It's pretty much just smooth. You can see on the top here it says Roumba, wake 'em up. And this one says the same thing. So, and they come with Owner stingers standard. They're Owner ST36 number 4 stingers, and you guys know how I feel about the Owner hooks. They're probably my favorite treble hooks that you can get out there. They're not really steeply priced, but they're really, really effective, strong, and sharp. The split rings on them are flat faceted, like I've spoken in the past about some of the other crankbaits out there, and they seem like they'll hold up really, really well. It has a circle split ring on the front, which we would have liked, especially for the money that you're going to pay for this bait, we would have liked to have seen it as a oval split ring, but what are you going to do? And it has those same distinctive Ima Lures eyes there. I mean, you can just tell by the eye that it's an Ima lure when you look at it like up against the Ima squarebill here. So the two colors I have here are baby blue chartreuse and hot craw. Let me focus on this here. Go with baby blue chartreuse here first. So this baby blue chartreuse, you see it's got this really bright orange belly, very, very hot chartreuse on the side, and a lot of it. That blue is mainly on the top, and you know, you really wouldn't think that as a topwater subsurface lure that the top color really wouldn't matter. And to be honest with you, it really wouldn't matter if this thing didn't have such an aggressive roll to it as it came through the water. That blue really flashes on the side. Same with this black on this hot crawl pattern. It's going to really flash when it comes to the water. It's very noticeable, especially when I was fishing it. It was really, it was actually quite windy outside, and I could see this thing coming from the point where it landed in the water all the way back to where I was fishing it, and there was no issues. I could see it perfectly in the water, even with all the ripples in the water. So it was a really, really nice high visibility lure. So this is baby blue chartreuse. And the next color we have here is called Hot Crawl. I like these really, really hot colors, especially for, I'm going to use the air quotes again, for top water lures, because, you know, when they're on top, especially in the summertime, in the places that you're fishing it just seems like you really, really want at that hot color. And like I said, you know, these are both orange-bellied lures, but the fact that they have such an aggressive roll, it really makes up for the fact that they both have the same belly but very different contrasting colors, where this one's like a yellow chartreuse and this one's more like a red and black, and this one's got the blue on the top. So just they're different. They're different because of that rolling action that it offers. So that's actually really, really nice. But again, just kind of a crawl pattern. You can see that it almost looks like a water slide transfer decal on there. I can't really tell if it is or not, but very, very smooth. So there's Hot Craw. Alright guys, so and you know, before I forget, you can notice on the back of this bait you'll see the hook hanger on it is almost set inside of the actual body of the bait. So just something to point out. I don't really think it means much of anything. We'll take a look and see if these hook together. They don't really hook together there, and that hook's not hanging up on the front bill either. So, and both of these bills are kind of like a frosted bill. They're not completely clear. So anyway, there's the Ima Lures Ima Roumba topwater wake bait, shallow running crankbait. Check them out if you guys get the opportunity. It seems like they reduced the price on Tackle Warehouse from, I think they're like $17 or $19, and now they're like $13 to $15. So they're probably phasing them out a little bit, but very effective lure. In fact, when I went to their website, they talk about keeping the rod at a where is it? It says fish to bait slow, steady retrieve. Be sure to keep the rod tip up. I find that to be counterproductive for the lure. When you put the rod up, you're going to get probably, I would say, 50 to 60% less of a retrieve before it starts to do that pulling action through the water, and the bait just loses its action altogether. When you put the rod tip down, it lays the line down into the water, and it helps it get that side-to-side walking action, or not walking, but, you know, rolling, swinging action. So just something to point out. I felt like keeping the rod tip up is counterproductive. Put the rod tip down, and you're going to have more success with it. Medium retrieves, slow to medium retrieve, and I think you'll have good success with this lure. So check it out. I've heard that the rattling Rumbas are really, really good too. So if you guys can get your hands on those, check those out too. And thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you guys like the video, hit the like button. And if you guys wouldn't mind, if you guys have a Facebook account, go check me out on Facebook. It's the same name that I have on here, Kevin Bullington. So you guys can just check me out. There's like 3 or 4 Kevin Bullingtons. It's kind of an odd name, but there's like 3 or 4 in the United States. So, but I'm the one with it's the same avatar picture of me holding that bass. So check it out. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.